Good day everyone, my name is Rani Mires Aledan and I'm going to tackle about the sexual self. And Princess Rizal Ricarda will be the continuation of this topic. The essence of love is the gift of myself. No other gift, no other service can substitute for myself. Love is a very personal, intimate gift. Some is part of myself must be given or my act is not an act of love at all. By James E. Sullivan. Understanding and experiencing the self includes a discussion of the biological factor of sexual behavior that includes the reproductive system and the sex characteristic that differentiate between men and women. The reproductive system is a system of sex organs designed for reproduction and sexual functions. It affects not only how individuals view themselves but also their sexuality and sexual relationship. During adolescence, most young people become involved in dating and courtship. Through romantic relationships, sexual behaviors are developed. Risk factors for sexual behaviors such as early pregnancy and sexually transmitted infection are discussed in this chapter. Early pregnancy and sexually transmitted infection among youth are major problem here in the Philippines. In this chapter, a number of strategies are recommended to prevent the early pregnancy and sexually transmitted. Development of sex characteristic in the human reproductive system. The beginning of adolescence is marked by rapid physical changes, including the maturation of reproductive system and the development of primary and secondary sex characteristic. Primary sex characteristic are physical characteristic present at birth. These are characteristics that distinguish male from female. In female, this characteristic includes the vagina, uterus, and ovaries. And in males, the primary sex characteristic include the penis, testes or testicles, scrotum, and prostate gland. Secondary sex characteristic develop during the onset of puberty. For women, the earliest evidence of puberty are enlargement of the breast, onset of menstruation, widening of hips, enlargement of buttocks, and growth of pubic hair. Onset of menstruation varies among countries but actually occurs at around 10 to 12 years of age. Testicular growth, sperm production, appearance of facial, pubic, and other body hair, and deepening of boys are some of the first signs of puberty in men. Primary sex characteristics develop as the embryo grows in the womb as a result of chromosomes contained within the embryonic cells as well as hormonal influence. At about 5 weeks of pregnancy, two organs called the gonads from in the embryo. In men, the gonads release testosterone that cause the male sex organs to develop. During puberty, testosterone and other androgens stimulate the development of primary and secondary sex characteristics and also increase one's sex drive. In women, the ovaries produce estrogen and progesterone, as well as small amount of testosterone. Estrogen promotes female reproductive capacity and secondary sex characteristic. Progesterone stimulates growth of the female reproductive organs and prepares the uterus for pregnancy. Unlike men, however, female sex hormones are not produced consistently. Their reproduction follows a cyclical pattern on an approximately 28 days monthly cycle. The greatest reproduction occurs during the ovulation period. When the egg is released from the ovaries, ovulation period can occur 14 days after the beginning of the menstrual period. The reproductive system is a system of sex organs designed for reproduction and sexual function. The female reproductive system is composed of the clitoris, the vagina, the uterus, the fallopian tubes, and the two ovaries. The clitoris, which is made of erectile tissue, swells with blood and hardens when a woman is sexually aroused. The vagina is a muscular tube that serves as the receptacle for the penis and carrier of the sperm to the uterus. It is also the birth canal where the fetus passes out of a mother body. The two ovaries produce, store, and release the egg cell during ovulation. The uterus is hollow organ where the fertilized embryo grows to become a fetus. The lower part of the uterus is called the cervix, a passageway between the uterus and the vagina that expands during childbirth. The fallopian tubes carry the fertilized eggs from the ovary to the uterus. Pregnancies start from the fertilization and end at the birth for approximate duration of 260 days or 9 months. On other hands, the male reproductive system includes the penis, testes, the scrotum, the prostate gland, the seminal vesicle, and the vas deferens and the epididymis. The penis is the organ through which men urinate and deliver the sperm cell into the vagina during sexual intercourse. It is made up of sensitive tissue and never ending. When a man sexually aroused, it becomes erect and allows for the penetration. Before reaching the penis, sperm cells travel through the prostate gland and seminal vesicles. The testes or testicles, located in a loose pouch like a sack of skin called the scrotum, are responsible for the production of sperm cell and male sex hormones. The vas deferens transport to the sperm-containing fluid called semen. The epidermis is a set called ducts connect to the vas deferens where the sperm cells are stored. The prostate gland and the seminal vesicle produce semen and the nourished sperm cells. Ejaculation is a release of sperm cells from the penis. Each ejaculation approximately contains 300 to 500 million sperm cells. Sperm cells can live up to 48 hours inside the uterus. Sex arousal and erogenous zones. What turns people on? Human sexual arousal is complex. It may be produced by direct stimulation of the body or erogenous zones on the areas of the body that provide pleasure. Erogenous zones are the areas of the body which are highly sensitive and produce sexual response when stimulated. This includes the genital, mouth, breast, ears, anus, and to a lesser degree the entire surface of the body. One of the most basic forms of sexual stimulation is masturbation or self-stimulation that causes sexual pleasure or orgasm. It involves the rubbing or pulling of the genital areas and provides good index of sexual desire because it is not constrained by the availability of a partner. Other sexual activities such as intimate kissing, cuddling, neckling, petting, or touching the erogenous zones may be uniquely important to sexual arousal. Uh, Sexual arousal is closely tied to variation in hormonal levels. In human, however, hormones play a less of a role. In one sense, the brain is where sexual desire originates and where sexual behavior is controlled, according to Atkinson, Smith, Bem, and Nolan Hoxema 2009. Cognitive factor those plays an important role in sexual arousal in human. For instance, some individuals become sexually aroused by creating or fantasizing erotic image. In other words, sexual fantasies play a significant role in sexual arousal according to Feldman in 2010. Many beliefs that compare with human, men think about sex more often because they report more frequent sex fantasies and more frequent feelings of sexual desire. Nevertheless, women tend to place more emphasis on emotional closeness with for the sexual arousal, and women are no less physically responsive than men according to Peplau by 2003. Culture also influenced the expression of sexual desire. Norms continue to shape sexual activity along socially acceptable behavior. For instance, masturbation and premarital sex are discouraged in most culture. Expression of sexual desire is also influenced by sexual script or stereotype patterns of expectation on how people should behave sexually. For example, some people believe that the sex should be done only within marriage. In some culture, expression of sexual desire and engaging in premarital sex are taboo for women.
Good day to each and everyone. I am Princess Rizal M. Ricarda and I am going to discuss the phases of sexual response. The phases of sexual response, according to William Masters and Virginia Johnson, found that the biological responses of males and females to sexual stimulation are quite similar. They use the term sexual response cycle to describe the changes that occur in the body as men and women become sexually aroused. So, sexually aroused means your body is ready to make love with your partner. The four sexual phases of sexual response. So as we can see here in the picture, the sexual response cycle has its arousal and the time. So from time to time, the four are the sexual phases. So it is the excitement, plateau, orgasm, and lastly the resolution. First, the excitement. In the male, blood flows into the penis, causing it to become erect. In the female, the vaginal walls become moist, which is the inner part of the vagina. Next, the plateau. The glands at the head of the penis swells and the testes enlarge in the male, while in the female, the outer vagina contracts and the clitoris retracts. Third, the orgasm. Orgasm is marked by involuntary rhythmic muscle contractions throughout the body as well as a sense of euphoria and a feeling of tension relief. Lastly, the resolution. Body functions slowly return to a normal level of functioning, and swelled and erected body parts return to their previous state and color. So let's move on attraction, love, and attachment. The attachment stage refers to a more meaningful bond developing between two people, moving a romantic relationship to an advanced level of falling in love wholeheartedly. So, attraction is the action or power of evoking interest, pleasure, or liking for someone or something. Love is an intense feeling of deep affection or a great interest and pleasure in something. Lastly, the attachment. It is an affection, fondness, or sympathy for someone or something. So, next, I will be discussing the sexual orientation. Sexual orientation is an enduring pattern of whether a person has romantic attraction or sexual attraction to persons of the opposite sex or gender, the same sex or gender, or to both sexes or more than one gender. So, to explain it shortly, sexual orientation is a pattern of in any person that is attracted to both genders or more. It calls sexual orientation because these persons are also doing the make love thingy on their own way. Next, sexually transmitted infections or STIs. Sexually transmitted infections or STIs or sexually transmitted diseases or STDs are contracted primarily through sexual contact between vaginal, oral, or anal sex. Many STIs affect the sex organs themselves, while others have broader and more life-threatening effects. So shortly, it is a transmitted diseases through sexual activities. Next, HRB or AIDS. HIV or AIDS are the common STIs or STDs rather. Human immunodeficiency virus or HIV is an infection that attacks the body's immune system. Acquired immunodeficiency syndrome or AIDS is the most advanced stage of the disease. So HIV is a first stage of disease that will slowly turn into AIDS if the disease will affect all the organs in human body. So shortly, if it is the HIV is untreated, untreated. So let's move on. Early pregnancy. Teenage pregnancy is when a woman under 20 gets pregnant. It usually refers to teens between the ages of 15 or 19, but it can include girls as young as 10. It's also called teen pregnancy or adolescent pregnancy. So, early pregnancy is already common, and I assume that all of you knows what early pregnancy is. Next, the methods of contraception and the Reproductive Health Law. The Responsible Parenthood and Reproductive Health Act of 2012, known as the RH law, is a groundbreaking law that guarantees universal and free access to nearly all modern contraceptives for all citizens, including impoverished community at government health centers. So, methods of contraception and reproductive health law. This law were declared to give a free contraceptives for all the citizens. Clearly. Next. So the following, as you can see as in the pictures, these are the contraceptives. So first, the condom. A condom is a sheath-shaped body or device used during sexual intercourse to reduce the probability of pregnancy or a sexually transmitted infections. So it also helps to it also helps in reducing transfer in any kind of diseases or infections, and it also helps to prevent semen or sperm from entering to your partner's body when you ejaculate or come, or should we call orgasm. Next is the contraceptive pills. Contraceptive pills or birth control pills are a type of contraception that's 99% effective at preventing pregnancy when taken consistently every day. So it prevents the ovaries from releasing an egg each month or ovulation. Next is the intrauterine device. So it prevents pregnancy by changing the way sperm cells move so they can get to an egg. So shortly, it's impossible for a woman to be pregnant if she has this device because the sperm will not going onto her egg. Lastly, the birth control injection. So the birth control shot is an injection given to a girl every 3 months to help prevent pregnancy. The birth control shot contains a longer acting form of the hormone progestin. So the hormone progestin in the birth control shot works by preventing ovulation or the release of an egg during the monthly menstrual cycle. If an egg isn't released, pregnancy can't happen because there's no egg for the sperm to fertile. So that could be all for our report, and thank you for watching.